Hello and welcome to another St. John Norrona midweek message. This is another in our series of midweek messages on great Christian thinkers. Today we take a look at the great Clive Staples Lewis, better known by his initials C.S. Lewis. Now, this was a young man who became an intellectual, and he lost his faith in the process of his education, but it was not a loss of faith, but rather a part of a transition. At the age of 32, he re-encountered faith through different eyes, through friends like the great writer J.R.R. Tolkien. Lewis had become acquainted with him while working and teaching at Oxford and Cambridge universities, where he worked his academic life. He was also very well known for a series of broadcasts that he did on the BBC. But some of Lewis's most well-known and beloved books include fiction and non-fiction. Of course, the best-known series was his books titled The Chronicles of Narnia, beginning with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and proceeding through 7 volumes. They are tremendous works. They contain glorious, beautiful theology, as well as brilliant writing and powerful, compelling characters. They have inspired generations of writers and creators. I read those books to my children 3 times, once as each was born and got to the right age, and we went through all 7 books again. He also wrote a science fiction trilogy known as the Space Trilogy, 3 books, Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and That Hideous Strength. And it took me 2 or 3 times to get up the resolve and the persistence to get all the way through That Hideous Strength. It is a heavy book and very, very, very dark. But it's also really well written and powerful. It's a wonderful parable for the rise of authoritarianism and the many ways in which people can be vulnerable to the autocratic impulse. Perhaps in Christian circles he is known at least as well for his nonfiction works. And I think personally my favorite of those would be perhaps Mere Christianity. It is such a beautiful capsule of the basics of Christian faith. But his book Surprised by Joy is the story of his conversion, his return to the faith at the age of 32, which he did not expect at all. His book A Grief Observed is a powerful, personal, very intensely personal recollection of his grieving process when his wife of only 4 years died rather suddenly. Abolition of Man is well known. The Screwtape Letters is a delightful romp. And it is a fictional story, but it is set as a series of letters from a senior devil to his junior devil nephew. And they're discussing how to properly tempt and lure away someone and drag them off to hell. It is a powerfully funny and very insightful book about human nature. There are other books as well. He was a very prolific author, having written more than 30 books. But sadly, C.S. Lewis died 1 week before his 65th birthday, so he did not get to write in his old age. But he was an influential part of this group of writers, which included himself and Tolkien and a number of others, a group called the Inklings. And any of the books by any of the writers in that group are well worth looking up. And if you enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia, I would encourage you to look up the works of George MacDonald. And Lewis said, I regard George MacDonald as my mentor. He's the one that inspired him to write books in the fantasy vein, like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. So anything you can find by C.S. Lewis is well worth looking into. And he was a powerful, brilliant, and most of the time extremely entertaining writer, even when he's writing on fairly heavy topics. So that is the great C.S. Lewis, Clive Staples Lewis. One of my favorite authors, and I've probably read his Narnia Chronicles almost as much as I've read any other book other than the Bible. So C.S. Lewis, look into him. If you haven't found him yet, you're in for a treat. Blessings to you all. Amen.